Welcome back to Studio 10.
Here we go.
One, two, three.
You know, in that ice bucket challenge, Michael sounded a lot like Cherish when he was screaming. Of course, you've seen a lot of videos like this on social media. The ALS Ice Bucket Challenge continues to sweep the nation. Of course, you saw Cherish, Joe, Michael, and I. We took the challenge, and these videos are a lot of fun, but it's also important to remember the purpose of the challenge: to raise money and awareness for ALS. Even with these ice bucket videos all over Facebook, a lot of us don't know much about ALS and how it affects others' lives. We have, and you're going to say your name for me because you say it so pretty and I don't.
Oh, that's okay. Jean Mercier.
Jean Mercier, isn't that a pretty name?
It's my great-grandmother's name. So.
Oh, and that's even better. She's a member of the ALS Foundation, and she's here to share with us some information about ALS. So, first of all, this disease affected you personally.
Yes, my mother passed away 3 years ago from ALS in 2011, and she only had the disease for about 3 years from her diagnosis till the end. And so I was her major caretaker initially, and then, you know, we had to get more and more care for her.
And you know, what a lot of people don't know, and here's such a pretty picture here, and what
Thank
a lot
you.
of people...
That was a year before she got diagnosed.
Such
so.
a pretty picture. You know, a lot of people don't know how hard this is on those who are affected by it. I mean, I'm sure it was hard seeing your mother in this shape, but it's very hard to deal with.
It's hard on the patients, of course, but it's also hard on the family and the caregivers as well, because what ALS is amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, which is why we call it ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease, who was a famous person that had it. All you jazz lovers, Charlie Mingus also had it. There's been several famous people that have given, I guess, credibility to it or a better
Passed
understanding.
Away from it,
And a lot of people don't know that on the Eastern Shore, it's kind of considered a hot spot. They have yet to label it necessarily a cluster, but people on the Eastern Shore have 5 times more likely chance of getting ALS than any other place other than Guatemala and Guam. So we're hoping to actually create a center to help families. There are some all around the country, but they're not anywhere in our immediate area. The closest one is our Alabama chapter in Huntsville, and we have some in Florida and in Louisiana. So,
talk a little bit about what patients go through.
Well, what ALS is, it actually attacks your motor neurons. So that affects everything. Your legs, your arms, your feet, and that's where most people start to feel the symptoms, just weakness and being tired and not being able to fulfill their activities, even buttoning a shirt. And then it goes on to affect your major systems like your breathing, and that's where, and eating, you're not able to swallow, so most people have to have a feeding tube. And you're not able to be mobile, so you have to be in a wheelchair. Because you're not moving, you have the higher incidence of bed sores and also, osteoporosis. And it basically just makes your muscles atrophy, and that in turn is your diaphragm. So most patients eventually die from breathing. At the end, my mother was only able to communicate with her eyelids. And, my mother is very healthy. She never drank, she never smoked, she hiked 60 miles a week. So, unfortunately, it attacks a lot of healthy people who, don't have any risk factors. There are different types of ALS. There's the hereditary type, which is a very small percentage. So, I'm not at necessarily a higher risk than anyone else. But 90 to 95% of people just get it just out of the blue.
And a lot of people were criticizing the Ice Bucket Challenge because, I guess they didn't understand. But when you hear from someone who's seen it firsthand, it's actually raised a lot of money and a ton of awareness for this.
Well, and that's the great thing, is that it is one of those diseases that doesn't get a lot of attention. And last year at this time, we raised about almost $3 million. compared to this year where we're almost up to $100 million.
That's wonderful.
So that's all going to go to research, and we're looking into all kinds of research, stem cell research. There's a lot of clinical trials going on, and so we're excited about that.
If people want to find out more about ALS, where's a good place for them to go if they want to get involved as well?
The best place, and you can donate there as well, is if you go to alsa.org, and that's the official kind of website for ALS, and they take care of patients. They take care with getting patients equipment that they need, with applying for clinical trials, and you're able to donate and to find more information about the disease and how to help being a caregiver.
And that's perfect. And we're going to put this information too on our website under the Studio 10 page. It's so nice to hear from someone who has been through this and kind of break this down for us for those who didn't know much about the disease and were wondering where these ice bucket challenges were coming from. So we really appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much.
Anytime.
I appreciate it. Thank
Cherish.
you.